Welcome to the realm of Millenia. Be ye a man, a woman, a child, a spirit creature, or a demon. Be ye a native migrator, or maybe even some sort of invader into the realm. Welcome, for I am your host, the MILLENIANmailmen, here today bringing you guys and gals a little intel and information. You know, those dits and diddles from the realm of Millenia. And I'll be world building for you long after you have already begun to acclimate and fit in. So go ahead, sit back and relax, and please do enjoy yet again another hot take hump day. Today's hot take is for week 33 Devil's Advocate hot take. Women, I'm gonna read it. Week 33 Devil's Advocate hot take. Women4Women isn't long lasting without hate. Men4Men, while effective, is very self-defeating without prejudices. But only hetero progression secures futures without malice. I repeat, the hot take for the week 33 is that women opting to support women and being for women, Women4Women, and Women4Women only, those things aren't long lasting, not without hate. Men4Men, men working for men, working with men only, for men and for men only, you know, that kind of perspective, that mentality, it's, while it can be effective, it is rather self-defeating, especially when you try to eliminate the prejudice in that kind of working environment of all masculine, that masculinity. Not that it's toxic or anything, it's just that it's self-defeating without prejudice. And then you have the mixed community, right? Only hetero progression secures futures without malice, right? Which is pretty ironic because a lot of the discussions and the conversations are going about nowadays are about all the man hating, the women hating, and all the prejudices abounding from the attempts to integrate the two sexes and their groups. Oh my god, I think I straightened my back out and I start yawning, dude. Alright. But again, that is kind of ironic, right? But that is the hot take. Now let's dive into it. Starting with the Women4Women. A lot of the Women4Women groups do, while the current trend is about decentering men, most of all of the Women4Women, women this for that, are rather entirely centralized on hate. Hate for other women, hate for men, hating for hating's sake. Hate to like, love to hate. Anytime it's an all-women's community, unfortunately, there is that trend of there is no long-lasting sisterhood or coven or any kind of feminine group that thrives on anything void of hate. If it's long-lasting, there is a deep-seated hate that brings the women together for whatever goal, whatever achievement, whatever identity, or whatever it is. Bring all the women together. Women are bound to one another through the hate they share for a particular thing or have in a particular identity or politics, right? Feminism and womanism, as it is nowadays, is really, most unfortunately, rooted in a whole lot of that hating aspect. And it has kind of shifted over into politics as well, where a lot of the womanistic means of politics is just about which side do you hate more, which is rather a very poor marketing strategy. Who do you hate less? That is who you should be voting for and who you should be marketing all your next thoughts process. Oh, do you hate Trump? You must not hate him enough because you're not trying to get him out of the presidency right now, right? The whole women for women, doing for women, because you are woman, because I am woman, you are woman, we are women. The women for women is a really short-minded, nearsighted goal orientation, right? It's a not long-lasting anything when it's women for women, because the only thing that makes that women for women last any length of time is that hate and disdain that you all market and share for a particular idea or something. And that's one. Next part of the essential hot take. Men for men. Men for men, while it can be effective, is rather self-defeating without prejudices. Right? Men for men, while effective, is self-defeating. Right? When we talk about those men for men, men's right activists, the dummies, right? When you talk about boys to men, men for men, this, that. When you talk about any of those communities, they are rather effective in what they're trying to accomplish, but they're rather self-defeating, not because they can't last long, but because when it's exclusively that men for men or men for men only, men on men communities, exclusivities, it is rather self-defeating in nature, because when it is exclusively that whole holistic, just male-centric, male exclusive identity, it just kind of breaks down, right? Not to say there isn't proper structure, it can't be done right. Men for men, yeah, it's great. It can be effective. Like, literally, that is the first thing. It can be effective. It's rather super effective at what it's setting out to accomplish, but the pitfalls and the everything, it is just self-defeating in nature. Like, these men for men groups, communities, and goal orientations are fantastic skyscrapers that you're building out into the atmosphere, the cosmos, reaching all the way to the ozones, Men for men can rather make some entirely successful, awesome, effective things. But what's self-defeating about it, not even gonna make a 9/11 joke, I really want to, right? Is that I believe the Asian community has this phrase that says, the tree that sticks out bears the brunt of the wind, right? Men for men, while it can be effective, that very effectiveness is what drives the most unfortunate truth of tearing itself down, right? Men for men, while effective, is self-defeating, because when you go about these men for men and that male exclusive advancement, acceleration, you tend to be the mole sticking your head out for the game of whack-a-mole. It's self-defeating, because when men build themselves up just for the sake of themselves, by themselves, with themselves, and nothing much else, and just in that isolation, you just grow to be just that, a man, just a random man, a stranger, a figure. Cool, you're a dude, there's nothing more to it. There's no purpose to your life anymore, because you're just a couple of men being men for the sake of being men for yourself, not for the better purpose or other this and that behind it, just for the sake of because I can. Great, you were very well done at being effective and being the man you wanted to be for the sake of being the man you wanted to be when you wanted to be that man. Great. What is the purpose behind that kind of figure? Are you doing any of the things naturally associated that that kind of man should be doing? No, you just did it because you can. That's perfectly fine, bro. You're doing great, right? It's rather self-defeating. These Men4Men, a lot of the Men4Men organizations, I'm not going to say all of them, but a lot of them are rather self-defeating, right? So there we have Women4Women isn't very long lasting without hate. Yeah, and the Men4Men, while effective, is rather self-defeating without prejudice. Because that Men4Men, there is always that eventual choice where you have to choose the better of two evils, right? Because in that self-defeating nature of men trying to help men, or men going out of their way to just be men for the sake of men for themselves in that lonely isolation, there's that always that innate opportunity and chance to instill prejudice, because you can be effective and not be self-defeating, but in lies the prejudice behind that, because you are going to have to, in order to develop your own goals, you're going to eventually have to give yourself a particular dream and ambition, which most men get that and derive their dreams and ambitions from their interpersonal relationships, namely with women. I'm not going to say they all do, but most of them, a good majority at least, right? A good majority of men develop their ambitions and this and that around their interpersonal relationships with similar and opposite sex. So these Men4Men groups are rather self-defeating, because you gotta eventually come to that point of choosing the better of two evils when you try to eliminate prejudice and you try to reduce ambition and you try to exonerate particular things without the understanding and comprehension that, hey, you kind of need the prejudice there because it's always been there. When you talk about these Men4Men egos and self-worths and self-importances, in the same vein where in these Women4Women's groups and communities, it's nothing but hate. These communities exclusively exist and thrive on the hate that they give. I don't care if you're Team Edward or Team Jacob, all right? The thing that drives you all together is your hate. Like, you might say all of you guys on Team Edward or all of you guys on the Team Jacob of the Twilight series, you might say that you're there for the love of the game and love of the love, but if anyone dares acknowledge the toxicness of those communities back when the Twilights were coming out, let's be honest. The thing that truly binded you together, aside from your love for your Team Jacob or your love for your Team Edward, more than your actual stand, what drove you together was how much both of you, your teams, absolutely hated the opposite. It's like, no, it can't be. It can't possibly. It's always been about the hate, be it the witches' covens. You hate the people who look good. You hate water. Water will make your face melt off or whatever. What binds you all is your shared perception of hate, right? But I digress. Women4Women is not long lasting without hate. Men4Men, while effective, is self-defeating without prejudice. Only hetero progressions secure futures without malice. Right? Only hetero progressions secure futures without malice. That's not a direct reference to like only heterosexual relationships make sense. If you're gay, you're gay. If you're homosexual, you're homosexual. If you're non-binary, lesbian, LGBTQIA plus. I hate you, dude. I hate you. I hate all of you. It's a full house. It's a full house. It's okay. It's okay. Oh, it's only Thursday. It's only Thursday. For anyone ever asking me down in the comments why I only ever make videos super late at night instead of at 7, 8 o'clock when there are people out and about, it's right. It's reasons like this one right here. I hate doing videos with other people around. Then you got the crack addicts in the corner on their freaking kids' tablets. Oh, Jesus, you should see what happens when the freaking electronic device dies. They go freaking ballistic, dude. Oh, man. I digress. Only hetero progressions can secure futures without malice. Okay. And that, yeah, where I was. That's not to say there's something wrong with your gay, straight relationship, or if you have a non-binary, pansexual relationship, or whatever identity that you care to. I'm not saying that at all. All I'm saying is that when you have your groups, the only way you can eliminate malice from your future, if you're trying to build something for a future, if you have any considerations for stuff going on outside of just yourself, if you want to secure a future for yourself and others around you in said future, the only way to do that is through diversity. You have to include the male perspective, you have to include the women's, you have to include their non-binaries, you have to include everyone in that discussion, right? Only hetero progressions secure futures without the malice. So if you don't have malice in your heart, in your soul, and you want everyone to live together and be in harmony, peace and harmony in all the worlds, peace and harmony in all the worlds. If that is you, if that's what you want, then you have to be inclusive, right? You gotta be inclusive to the hetero progressions in order to secure futures without malice. Because all this girls, women for women, men for men, boys on boys, with the boys, for the boys, for the boys, all those isolation tactics and conversations of communities that are growing and developing to be massive growths that might as well be cancerous. The women for women side is not long lasting, and the men on men's side is self-defeating, where the women's side is centered mostly on men and the hate, and the men's side is centered on the whole prejudices, and it's kind of inescapable at this point, at least as far as my devil's advocate sees it. So, hey, that's just me, your MILLENIANmailmen, and that's the news and information I had to share for you for today's piece. Today's hot take for week 33 comes from Instagram. Yeah, So, yep, that's where that one comes from. Next week is a continuation from Instagram, I guess. Yeah, that's a continuation from Instagram, so we'll see how it goes. Outro. Leave a like if you feel like it. You leave a like if you like what I had to say, how I said it, or anything like that. Put down in the comment section down below any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, and opinions, or so on and so forth. Down in that description box, you can find access to my explanations of what each day of the week is, as well as see the opportunity to reach out. That aside, share the video for more exposure. Subscribe if you feel like it, and dislike the video if you don't. Don't mind it either way, personally. But yes, that has been the week 33 Devil's Advocate, Women4Women, Men4Men, only hetero progression secures futures without malice. That is the hot take that came from Instagram. Peace, love, happiness, and all the best to you. Take that information as you will. Goodbye.